I'm joined by Mamelo. Mamelo Sigasa is the member of the Gauteng Government Youth Advisory Panel. She's an emerging leader in local governance with a strong focus on public finance and ethical governance. She's also currently interning at Lesedi Local Municipality, where she's gaining valuable hands-on experience in municipal budgeting, compliance, and financial management. Mamelo is also very passionate about gender-responsive budgeting and inclusive development. On the call, it's also Priscilla Ferris. Priscilla is a civil society leader and advocate for inclusive governance. She's a seasoned leader with over a decade of experience in youth development, civic education, and community empowerment. She is a graduate of this program as well. And with that, she is someone who is dedicated to amplifying marginalized voices, fostering participatory governance, and mentoring young change makers to build a just and inclusive society. And then I also have Mpumi Edward on this call. Mpumi is a chairperson of the Finance Section 79 Oversight Committee, which is in the city of Joburg. She combines her experience of her MBA with experience across the education, retail, and financial services. And she's also a passionate champion for women's rights and social justice, committed to education, activism, and impactful public service. I don't know if we've already been joined by Kolofelo, but I think when she joins, I'll also then introduce her as well to the conversation. But Mamelo, let me kick off with you. The one thing that you learned that you were quite surprised by in the program.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mpumi. Hi, Priscilla. So lovely to see you again. The one thing I really was shocked about was that as women in public office or women in politics, you deserve the right to a break. You deserve the right to rest, a rest day with your family, whether it's with friends, drinking alcohol, whether it's going on holiday, you deserve it. And just because you're representing your constituency, it doesn't mean that you live for them. You also have a life outside of that. You also deserve to take time out for yourself. We were taught when we see politicians or when we see women in public, and you always think that they are there for working hard, they go home at late, they wake up, their lives are just focused on making change, but never having time out for themselves. And I really didn't think that would be possible for us. But after learning that, after taking time out for myself, because of Futurelect, I take it with pride. I'm unapologetic about it.
I love that. Thanks so much for that, Mamela. And it's so important. And it's one of the things we really try to hammer on in the program about self-care and the importance of that. And that really forms part of our transformational mode of learning, especially that you actually can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. And if you also are then leading from an empty pot, right? You need to be able to function from a pot that's full and can actually then pour into others as well. So that's such an important point. Priscilla, what's one thing that you learned that you were so shocked by?
I was actually shocked. Hello, everybody. Sorry. I was actually just thinking about it. I was actually shocked that there are such a lot of women that are in a similar position as myself. I think you become so focused on the constituency that you work in, and you feel so isolated and alone that you don't realize that next to you in the Soweto constituency or Vereeniging constituency, there are other people that also feel the exact same way. So I appreciate Futurelect actually bringing us together, and we formed bonds across these lines that if I want to vent and cry, Mpumi knows that I don't care. I call and I cry and I vent, and it is become a friendship. And she understands, but it's without judgment. And I really appreciate that I'm not alone. And that's all thanks to Futurelect.
I love that. I think that really speaks to the support networks that we really try and build in the program, right? That across party lines, whichever political party you may be from, or whether you're an independent candidate as well, you can actually be able to find this critical mass of young women who have the same goal in mind, the same vision in mind, who want to do the same work as you do. And you can actually then collaborate, right? That it doesn't have to be along party lines, that fundamentally you all are sort of pushing for the same goal and serving really the same kind of groups of people. Yeah, that's a really incredible point, Priscilla. For me, what's one thing that you learned? Mute. Mpumi, can you hear me? You're on mute. There we go.
Okay. Am I audible now? Yes. Hi, everyone. I hope you are all well. Thank you for inviting me. I think one thing that really shocked me is to get to realize that there's so many other young people that are already in public office that we're not necessarily exposed to. I mean, when we had guests coming to the program, most of the guests were quite young. They were youth basically, and for me it was something new because in Parliament, for example, we never get to know the internal workings of Parliament and young people also and their voice in Parliament. So really, that for me got me understanding that there's an increasing number of young people that are becoming very interested in politics and are interested to take the challenge of taking up public offices and challenging the current status quo. So that for me was something new.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think there's a lot. I think there's a lot we actually do take for granted in Bumi, particularly in terms of, public office, the kind of knowledge that we think our leaders know, the kinds of competencies that we think our leaders should have, but maybe they haven't necessarily been trained in those. In all of your different journeys, I know that Mamelo, you're currently right bam within local government. I know that Priscilla, you as well. And I know that your journey, especially in, I think, El Dorado Park, if I'm not mistaken, you've been a great champion in that community. And then, of course, Mpumi yourself within the various committees that you form a part of. But if you are to look at the journeys that your leadership journeys have sort of taken and how it's culminated, what would you say are some of the things that you specifically learned from the program that then allowed you to be able to do some of the work that you do in maybe better ways or in different ways that you might not have done before? Priscilla, I think let me go to you.
For me, I absolutely have to say it is being able to structure my thoughts better in public speaking and in media briefings and all of those things, and also an in-depth learning of policy. That is one thing that has actually assisted me in how to control the nerves in terms of that public speaking. And I've actually gotten to a point where I actually now challenge myself to go on such platforms and speak because I know how to deal with it. It's just practice, practice, and controlling the nerves. So structuring that thoughts and having that come out and having that idea that you have, having that idea, speaking it into the community or within the media space. I really appreciate that because a lot of times you have such a lot of emotions and ideas or what you want to say, and the nerves come in and you don't even know how to say it, and you look at yourself after a while and you look at the clip or whatever it is that you were doing, and you find that you regret doing it to an extent where you're like, I should have, I could have. But Futurelect has really given me not only the courage to want to practice more, so I look for platforms to kind of practice, to control my nerves. And the ideas that I have in my mind as to what I'm going to say actually now features. I'm so proud, guys.
I love that for you, Priscilla. It's lovely to hear that something as practical as sort of the skills component that we really tried to drive through in the program, with reference to what you've mentioned now, particularly the media training side of it, the public speaking, and how that has really had an impact on your journey specifically. Mamelo, can you share a little bit of, I know that right now you're interning, particularly within a local municipality. I'm hoping that that may or may not mean that, maybe we might see your name in the local government elections. But essentially, can you share maybe some of what you might have learned and how that might have impacted your journey?
So, through Futurelect, I actually learned like the importance of leading with conviction, knowing my values and keeping at my gut and letting it guide every decision that I make. I learned how to be strategic without losing the compassion that I know I have, and how to navigate leadership spaces with both confidence and humility. And I think I also discovered the power of my own voice and the courage to use it. The women that I met during our time at Futurelect have given me so much courage and have propelled me and have taught me to use my voice even when it feels uncomfortable. And the deeper understanding of governance that I learned, it's so great that I can be able to use all that I learned in Futurelect now in local governance. I can give advice, strategic advice to whether it's the officials or the council, the structures, the processes, the ethical standards that are essential for building trust and delivering results in the public sphere. I learned that transparent decision making and accountability is good for our people in the community. It continues to improve service delivery. And I think I'll always be grateful to Futurelect. It also showed me that leadership is not a solo journey. We must build relationships. We must continue finding allies. We must continue creating spaces for others to continue to rise with us. And these lessons will continue to shift me and shift how I show up every day. And I think that will make my journey more purposeful and more impactful. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. You speak to something super interesting, Mamelo, about the sort of structures that you need to be aware of, the ethical grounding that you need to have to be able to operate effectively within those structures. And I'm even thinking about Bumi, currently in your role, that's particularly quite technical, right? In terms of the as a chairperson of the Finance Section 79 Oversight Committee and the work that's needed there. How has some of what you've learned in the program impacted the work that you're able to do, particularly on a technical level, on a systems and structural level as well? Bumi, we're having a lot of problems with your mic today. You're on mute.
Yeah, there we go. Futurelect came at the right time for me. It was just an opportune time because I was standing then for public office for the national elections. And when it came, I had to run my own election. So the tools, the information that I gathered from them actually assisted me to put together, firstly, my own campaign team. From the skills that I had learned at Futurelect, I was able to put a very effective and successful campaign towards the national elections. The media training also that we did really exposed me to the technicalities of media and being able to craft your messaging and present yourself, and also grab opportunities in terms of media exposure. So the session on media and how to craft your messaging and campaigning was the key for me, because I believe that I ran a very successful campaign. And overall, I think what Futurelect did for me, it just ignited my confidence as well as a leader at all levels. When I did not get that opportunity to go to the parliament, I then was given another opportunity to head the finances as an oversight chairperson in the city of Joburg. And I think everything that I'd learned at Futurelect is what I'm actually putting into practice. I mean, we had sessions also that looked at elements of ethical leadership. This is one portfolio where you really need to know yourself and and have ethical standards that you put for yourself as well. So all those are things that we actually learned at Futurelect. So as I head now different political parties, I got to understand also the alignment between local government and other spheres of government. If I did not come to Futurelect, I wouldn't understand how we relate, especially with such a core element, a technical element such as finance, to other spheres of government. I'm so grateful, you know, I'm grateful with all the knowledge that I gained from Futurelect. And I think what it has done for me personally, it has distinguished me in terms of the level of my leadership and how I lead and how I understand issues as well. And my holistic view of how governance is supposed to be run. So it's an added value for me in this position as a chairperson, because I'm able to bring some insights that I wouldn't have been able to bring if I didn't go through this program. So it's just a value add into my career. And I really look forward to grow as well and apply more of what I've learned in the program.
I love that. You know, Mpumi, you speak to something that's been quite a big issue that we've been grappling with as well, particularly in this big push, you know, to try and sort of bring the awareness to young women that, you know, they should run for local government, and in fact they can run for local government. In that, you know, you were on your party's list for the national and provincial election, and then you subsequently went to local government. But there are women out there who might be asking themselves, you know, do I qualify? Do I have the necessary skills? Should I even be running for local government? There's this sort of belief, even when women, you know, apply for jobs and things like that, that, you know, they need to have amassed so many qualifications and they need to have amassed so much experience in order to deem themselves as qualified. What would each of you guys say? Actually, I want to hear quite a bit of all of your insights in terms of why it's important for women to run, particularly in this local government election, and why you think maybe benefiting from a program like this would actually really help to propel them forward in that mission. Priscilla?
I would honestly say that it is a combination of education. One thing that I've also learned from Futurelect is to be the best at what you do, make sure that you know your work absolutely, completely, internally, externally. You understand it to the T. And in order to be that, I would literally say that go beyond matric. Do a combination of be it public administration and management, finance, because that is also something that within the finance portfolio, like Mpumi, can be used. But go beyond that and understand it. And that also comes into where Futurelect also comes in, the leadership training. You need to know when to stop for your own health. You need to know how to be a leader. You need to know how to be the right sort of leader. We often look at leadership as something that is scary or dictatorship, and there's such a vast way of leadership that is needed within any sphere of government. because you deal with a different sort of people, various people. So I would honestly say constant development is needed, education, and keep on finding out from other people what it is. Have your, like Futurelect taught us, have your non-political, non-government people that you can breathe, that you can take that mental health, that you can vent on. Those are my things that I would say that is needed in order to actually excel in government.
Lovely. I love how you've also included Futurelect as part of that drive to upskill and equip yourself, right? That's a very important point. For me?
I think what's crucial is to have passion for service. If you've got that deep passion to serve others, and you feel like that your voice really matters, and you want to have an extension to your voice where you can reach more than just your small constituency where you currently are. The opportunities do exist, even once you are a public representative, where you can then continue with your formal education. But what is critical is that passion to serve others. So when you get into public office, you can step into all the available resources at local government. We have available resources to extend our formal learning through institutions that normally local municipalities have got relationship with. And I'm really encouraging young people to really extend that passion that they have and come into public service, because their expertise, their experience, and their passion is still required within public service. And there's a lack in most instances. There's a lack of people that really want to do things. There's a lack of people that are really ethical, that are sincere and honest about leadership and about leading in their different constituencies. So we invite young people. We want to see more numbers, especially at local government, because this is a sphere of government that really implements policies, law. You know, although we make laws, but a bigger portion of local government is to ensure that we deliver basic services and we implement policies to our residents. So we need more young people to come to this sphere of government, because at the moment we have quite a tangible, sizable number of people who've been in this position, some of them since 1996, you know, when local government started. So we want to invite young people now to come on board, to make a difference in their communities, and to ensure that their passion is not just spoken, but it's acted out, because we need leaders now that can not only craft policies, leaders that are able to implement policies in an effective manner. And that is still lacking a lot in local government. Hence, we're seeing all the failures in service delivery.
That's such an important point, Mpumi, because I also think a big part of this program is, of course, this need to empower a new generation of ethical leaders, right? And I think particularly at local government level, the bread and butter issues that we often talk about, you know, the water, the roads, sanitation, things like that, where we can see on a day-to-day basis where the breakdown is in our various communities, in our various municipalities. And that's where I think if we want to say, you know, our issues want to be brought to the fore, then people actually need to say, I am willing to put my hand up and run as well. And so I think that's such an incredibly important point. Mamelo, let me come over to you.
I think to every woman thinking, can you hear me? Oh, I think I would tell women who are thinking about stepping into public leadership, tell them that their voice is needed, their perspective is valuable, and we need their leadership now. It matters now more than ever. You know, local government is where the real everyday change happens. This is where we are in direct um, communication with the community, with the people. And it's where decisions about their livelihoods are made, about their access to housing, water, safety, and community development are made. And women's lived experiences bring a depth and understanding to these issues that can transform how they're addressed. And Futurelect is actually an excellent starting point for that journey. It equips you with the skills, strategies, and confidence to step into leadership roles, not to just be in the room or to just be a passive leader. It shapes the decisions that are being made in that room. You learn how to lead with integrity, to navigate governance structures, to run effective campaigns. That actually reminds me about the Larundu campaign, which I won, just so that you guys remember, and connect with people in ways that inspire trust and action. And, you know, most importantly, you'll join a powerful network of women who will walk alongside of you. They'll challenge you, they'll remind you that you're also not alone in this work. And I think running for local government isn't just about holding office, it's about changing lives and lives of the people that are around you, strengthening your communities and making sure that the people you serve can see themselves reflected in you as a leader. So if you've ever thought that you want to make a difference, this program will help you turn that wish or that desire into an action, and the impact that you will have will actually be bigger than you can imagine. Futurelect is an excellent example of a gathering of people from different value walks of life that believe in a better future for our country. And what better than women who are at the forefront of this life thing to work together and make a change, whether we are from different political parties or not.
I love that. I love how you made reference to the campaign weekend, Mamelo, which is a hotly contested campaign, where we ran an extended campaign simulation, and we really tried to put fellows into that mindset of campaigns, running a campaign, seeing it through. And essentially, by the end of the weekend, we then have a political party then emerging victorious as we would in any other campaign. And so I think you, even making reference of that example, Mamelo, the sort of one thing I want to pick each of your brains on is, you know, particularly when it comes to campaigns, for example, as we know that when you guys were in the cohort, it was, you know, late 2023 going into 2024, which was the push towards the national election, right, which was then held in May of 2024. And at that time, you know, campaigning was in the air. It was the big stress of the moment. And I'm really curious to understand from your perspectives, what are some of the challenges that you've been able to identify? We know that as women, there are uniquely sort of gendered challenges, especially that we face, whether as independent candidates or even within our political parties. But what are some of the challenges that you've navigated, whether it's in the campaign space or in the halls of legislatures or in the halls of council, where you felt that actually looking back, there was this one lesson that I learned from a particular seminar or a facilitator or a guest speaker that I was able to really find my way through that challenge and work through it effectively because of what you had learned. Bumi?
I think the one thing that I learned is that failure, it's not actually failing, it's part of learning. And when you do something and you fail, you don't succeed in doing that, it's part of your learning process. All you need to do is to dust yourself and pick up from where you've left off. So within my campaign, for example, I had at different levels where I felt that, I have dismally failed at this level within the various phases of the campaign. But when I recall all the learnings from Futurelect, I will then pick up myself, re-strategize again, get different people. And also one important factor that I learned as well is that learning from others, it's not an indication that you are unable to. So consulting with others, people that have been there. For example, in my campaign team, I had to get people that were already in parliament to assist me with certain things. So that angle of consultation, it's not a limit on you in terms of what you know or you don't know. It's something that really assists you to boost your campaign. So really, I relied heavily on ensuring that I tap into talent and I tap into knowledge and wisdom of those people that have been there before me. So that's what helped me with the entire campaign to make it even more successful than I thought it would be. But also at the end of the campaign, when I didn't get appointed to national parliament, that was another milestone of failure according to the perspective that I had. But because I had been to Futurelect, I then sought for other opportunities because already I was in public office in local government. I then reshaped and redirected my campaign and my strengths now to local government. So the lesson is that failure is not actually failure. It's preparing you for something different, and we should always be alert and adjust to adjust to other milestones. Because where I am now, I feel I'm adding equal value than what I would have added if I was at national government, at local government, which is really the most important sphere of government.
I love that, Mpumi. I think it also reminds me of what we also try to do in the program, the expert facilitators, the guest speakers, people who've been through the journey, elders as well, political elders who can provide that sort of intergenerational perspective as well, to all just learn together, right? Because you can never really walk the journey alone. You really need others around you to help you and advise where needed. So I really like that input. Mamelo, and then I'll come to you, Priscilla. Mamelo, you're on mute.
Sorry. From my perspective, I think one of the biggest challenges I identified as a woman in a political and organizational space is that our credibility is often questioned before we even speak. You can walk into a room with qualifications, experience, and a clear vision, but still find that you have to prove yourself twice as much as others or twice as much as men, sometimes just to be heard. And I think the lesson I've learned from navigating this is that you have to anchor yourself in your values and your competence. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can also control how consistently and authentically you show up. Over time, your work, your preparation, your results, they become undeniable. And Futurelect helped us sharpen this resilience. They taught us strategic thinking, how to approach challenges with a plan, anticipate obstacles, and also turn setbacks into opportunities. They also reminded us that leadership, as much as it is about inner strength and outer action, we did yoga and breathing exercises, and that showed us how to manage stress, stay grounded, and remain present, even in high pressure situations. And I think that balance between strategy and self-care has been one of the most valuable lessons that I've carried forward.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mamelo. Priscilla?
For me, I would really say that within the campaign weekend, it was a hectic weekend. And I think everybody came in already stressed out. As you said, we were at the height of national election campaigning. But it taught me one pivotal thing, that I don't always have to lead. I don't always have to do it myself. I've got a team. And it is okay to step back. It doesn't make me weak. It doesn't make me less of a leader. It actually shows more of my leadership strengths. And I can step back and guide. And that's okay. So for me, that is one pivotal thing that I'm still actually doing, and consciously trying to be aware of it, because I do tend to fall back into old habits. So consciously, I am still trying to say, no, step back. I'm overwhelmed, step back. There's somebody that's offering help, take it. They're not going to be Priscilla. They're not going to be Mamelo. They're not going to be Mpumi. So things won't get done the way we would do it. But there's various ways of achieving success, and allowing people to step forward and pulling them up and guiding them, giving them a sense of that knowledge that we have, to say, okay, like this, not like that. And it's okay. It is okay. Takes a little bit of time, but somebody invested time in us. So us doing that little bit of time into putting it into somebody else, it's also acceptable, and it doesn't make me less of a leader. So that for me was, and still is, one of my pivotal points during that campaign weekend, that I still look back on, and I still call on myself to say, hey, check yourself, girl.
I love that. Yeah, we need to constantly be checking ourselves. It's very easy to overexert yourself, to burn out and not say no to things when we know that we have a team. And like Bumi said, we must be able to lean on other people and their insights, their expertise. So I really love what's coming through in this conversation about learning from others, self-care, strategy as well, and the importance of all of those things, and how even the things that we determine as soft skills, which really aren't soft skills, they are actually the main drivers, right? Because if you burn out and if you can't be able to look inward and help yourself, then you won't actually be able to lead other people. And so those are such, I think, incredibly important and valuable lessons as well to take from this conversation. As we are going to part, I just have one final question. And that's really just in terms of, if you were to encourage other young women who are planning on running or are planning on seeking re-election in the local government elections, how would you encourage them to apply for this program specifically? Mamelo, this time I'll come to you, and then Priscilla, and then Bumi.
I think if I were to encourage other young women about about running for local government elections and encouraging them to apply for this, I would also remind them of, you may think that you're ready, but you also need support, you also need guidance, you also need training, leadership training at that, because we've grown up in communities where our counselors or our leaders just thought that being a counselor, you just have to run. You just need maybe a grade 12 and you can just do it. Whereas with programs like Futurelect, you're able to know how to use your voice and how powerful it is to have guidance such as Futurelect. And like I said, it gives you strategic thinking tools that will help you navigate the political space. And it also gives you the confidence to articulate your vision, and also practical self-care techniques like yoga and breathing to keep you grounded when the pressure is high, because it does get high. And your leadership can open doors, not only for yourself, but also for the women that are coming after you. And it's important for us to remember as women that when we take our place at the table, we don't just change the conversation, we are changing the outcome.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Mamelo. Priscilla?
Fear will hold you back. Fear will hold you back. Go out. You need this. You deserve this. Nobody is more capable than you and me. Apply. This is a development program. You can only grow from strength to strength. This is what is going to change the perception of our people externally. This is going to change the way government is currently going. This is going to be phenomenal. It is absolutely, if you come for this training, it is going to make the world a better place. They're going to view South Africa differently because eventually all our levels of government, all our spheres of government would have 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 of us that have been at Futurelect and that know why we are there, why we are servants.
I love that. Don't let fear hold you back. Amazing. Thanks, Priscilla. Mpumi?
Yes, your passion is deep for service. Your voice is loud, but you still need a toolkit to be able to venture into public space, specifically at local government. You need to arm yourself. We want to see a different breed of public servants at local government who can turn things around, who can bring change, who can lead with good governance in place, who've got an understanding, a rounded understanding of how this particular sphere of government works. So don't let fear stop you. Be bold, step forward, raise your hand, complete that application, and let Futurelect work with you towards your journey of being a public representative and towards your journey of changing the current status quo in local government and bringing real change, especially for young people in our communities. So go ahead, complete that form. Let's bring change together.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. I really appreciate all of your insights, all of your inputs. I think a lot of what has come through for me in this conversation is that importance of the critical mass of young, ethical leaders and young, ethical women who will be able to then move into the space and occupy those positions. And eventually we'll see an incremental gain, right? Just as you said, Priscilla, where eventually I'm hoping we can step into the halls of parliament, into all of the different municipalities and council meetings and say, whoa, there's at least one person from Futurelect who's holding this position here and who has that background of ethics and that real grounding of ethical and transformative leaderships.